Welcome to class. Welcome to the Cell and Beyond. Grab a pen and a book while we dive into the world of biology. Hi, welcome to class. Today we'll be looking at the differences between prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Now we'll be understanding the cell types in biology. Every living organisms are made up of cells, alright? And these cells could be in two types, could be prokaryotic or eukaryotic. So I want you to just stick around and let's learn together. Now look at this image. This is a typical example of a prokaryote and an eukaryote. Now any organism that is made up of a prokaryotic cell is called a prokaryote, while organisms are made up of the eukaryotic cell is called the eukaryote. So we'll be looking at their differences in this video today. I want you to understand something, that cells are the basic units of life. All living organisms are made up of cells, all right? Every building you see out there, for instance, is made up of a single brick or a block. So all blocks are stacked together to give you that beautiful building you're seeing today. So you that you are listening to me right now, you are made up of billions of cells, and each of these cells, all right, falls within these categories, that is either prokaryotic or eukaryotic. But I want to tell you, obviously, you are made up of an eukaryotic cell. But majorly in biology, every cell can be classified either as prokaryotic cell or eukaryotic cell. Please follow me. Now, what are prokaryotic cells? Prokaryotic cells are simple cells without nucleus. And if I may ask, you may be asking yourself, what is nucleus? If you look at a cell, now this is a typical example of a prokaryotic cell. Now, every cell has an organelle. Like you're listening to me, there are some organs in your body, like the brain, the heart, the kidney, the liver. They are organs, okay? And all these organs perform specific functions in your bodies, all right? So when we talk about organelles, these are structures you find within the cell, all right, that perform specific functions that are related to organs in your body. So we have the nucleus. Nucleus contains the genetic materials, okay? We have the mitochondria, that is the site of respiration, which gives energy to the cell. I hope you understand that now. We have the ribosome, which is the site of protein synthesis, okay? So all these structures are related to organs. They perform specific functions within the cell. So that takes us back to what prokaryotic cells are. Prokaryotic cells lack any of these things I just mentioned. They don't have nucleus. They don't have any organelles, okay? Now, they don't have true nucleus, right? And DNA is in a nucleoid region. Now, if you look at the image before you, all right, okay, now you can see, take a close look at it. Now, this one here, that is the chromosomes. Okay, that's the chromosome, that's the genetic materials. And what are genetic materials? These chromosomes are thread-like materials that contains the DNA. And on the DNA, we have genomic materials that are passed from one generation to the other. Now, there are specific traits we possess as humans or as other animals, even plants. There are traits like tallness, shortness, bright eyes, dark eyes, color blindness. All these things are traits, and they are passed from one generation to the other. That thing that helps you to pass it to the next generation is called the gene, and that gene you find it on the DNA, okay? And the DNA you find it packed within the chromosomes, all right? Now, that takes me back to the prokaryotic cell. They don't have there is no true nucleus for the prokaryotic cell, because normally within the nucleus you find the chromosomes, and inside the chromosomes you find the DNA, and inside the DNA you have the genomic information that helps in the transfer of traits from one generation to the other. Now, prokaryotic cells are also smaller and simpler. If you look at this image now, the image is so simple, and the structure is so straightforward, okay? So examples, majorly we have bacteria. Of course, you know what bacteria is. Now, this is not the first time you're hearing bacteria. So we have the archaea, all right? All these organisms I just mentioned possess a prokaryotic cell. Now, majorly the kingdom Monera, we have 5 major kingdoms in living organisms. We have the kingdom Monera. Now, if you look at kingdom Monera, all of them are made up of prokaryotic cells. So you can check that out. All right, so that is that about prokaryotic cell. Now to the next slide. What are eukaryotic cells? Eukaryotic cells have true nucleus and they contain membrane-bound organelles, which means they contain organelles that perform specific functions. Now take a look at this image. This eukaryotic cell, of course, the nucleus is present. I've told you the function of the nucleus. It contains the chromosomes, which carries the DNA, and where you find the genomic materials, genomic information that passes straight from one generation to the other. So the eukaryotic cell also contains the mitochondria, contains the endoplasmic reticulum. Now the endoplasmic reticulum is used to transport materials within the cells. All right, and eukaryotic cells are larger and more complex than the prokaryotic cell. Okay, now examples, you find them in plants, you find them in animals, you find them in fungi, and you find them in protists. Now, example of protist, that is where we have the protozoa. An example of protozoa, you have amoeba and the rest. All right, so that is an example of an eukaryotic cell. Now let's continue. I want to highlight some major differences. Number one, let's look at the nucleus difference. Now take a look at the two images. They are merged together. You have the eukaryotic cell at the left hand side and the prokaryotic cell at the right hand side. Prokaryotic cells have no true nucleus, so they don't have nucleus at all. All right, while prokaryotic cells have a defined nucleus. Now look at the image in front of you. Now, nucleus is present for the eukaryotic cell, and look at the prokaryotic cell. There is nothing like nucleus there. You can see that the chromosomes. I told you that the chromosome is a thread-like structure. Okay, you can see that the chromosome is just found there, floating within the cell. I hope you can see that the chromosome is just there, floating within the cell. It's not bound within the nucleus. But for the eukaryotic cell, within the nucleus here, if you get a closer look at it, the chromosomes is packed within the nucleus. But for the prokaryotic cell, you find the chromosomes just floating within the cytoplasm of the prokaryotic cell. So that is another major difference. Okay, now in prokaryotes, you can see that the DNA is in nucleoid region. You can see how it's like a thread-like structure, just floating within the cell. And for the eukaryotes, their DNA is enclosed within a nuclear membrane. So you find them within this nucleus here. You find them within the nucleus. So this is the nucleus, all right? So you find the chromosomes, you find the DNA. I told that the DNA is found inside the chromosomes. So you find them within the nucleus. So that is major difference number one. I hope you understand that. So if you are called upon to state one major difference between a prokaryote and eukaryote, you can say one of these and you are good. All right, so take a very bold look at this image. Now if you look at it very well, I told you a while ago that the chromosome, which is a thread like, is floating just within the cell of the prokaryotes. Okay, so it is not bounded, it's not bounded together. But in the case of the eukaryotes, the nucleus is housing the DNA. If it's housing the DNA, so you find it within the nucleus here. I hope you understand that now. All right, so let us continue. Another major difference is the organelles. Now, eukaryotes contains membrane-bound organelles, okay, while prokaryotes do not. What do we mean? Eukaryotes or prokaryotes contains only ribosome. That is one of the organelles. That's the only organelle that the prokaryote contains. While the eukaryote contains other organelles like the mitochondria, the ER is the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, and other nucleus, other organelles. Okay, so take a look at it. You can see the image of the prokaryote on the right and the eukaryote on the left. Look at the list of the organelles for the eukaryotes. So you can see the list of organelles. you find the the cytoplasmic membrane, the endoplasmic reticulum, you find the ribosome, you find the nucleus, you find the nucleolus, you find the nuclear membrane, the Golgi bodies, you have the cytoplasm, mitochondria, and the chloroplast. This is a plant cell, okay? Take note, because there's a chloroplast in it, is a plant cell, okay? I want you to understand something. Now look at this image for the prokaryote. The prokaryote has only the ribosome. This is the ribosome here. It has only the ribosome, okay? So that's the only thing you can see that is present, the major organelle in a prokaryotic cell. I hope you understand that now. So I said number one, nucleus is present for the eukaryotes while it is absent in the prokaryotes. Then for the organelles, the prokaryotes do not have membrane-bound organelles. They only have ribosomes, while the eukaryotes have a membrane-bound organelles. All right, so let's continue. Now let us compare them with their organelles. Now there is a table in front of you that helps to compare each organelles in these two cells. Now for nucleus, okay, nucleus is present in eukaryotes and why it is absent in prokaryotes. Now look at the ribosomes. You can see that they are both present, okay. Now but in the prokaryote is smaller while in eukaryote is larger, okay. We have the mitochondria. It is absent in prokaryotes and then present in the eukaryotes. The endoplasmic reticulum is absent and is also present in the eukaryotic cell. The Golgi apparatus absent, present in eukaryotic. The lysosome absent and present in the eukaryotic cell. Alright, let's continue. Still on the organelles, chloroplast is present in the eukaryotic cell, that's majorly the plant cell, and is absent in the prokaryotic cell. Now for cell wall is present, of course, all right, and it is also present in the plant fungi cells and the protists, all right. Then we also have the plasma membrane. The plasma membrane is also present in the two of them. Flagella, all right, present in the two of them depending on the kind of cell it is. Then the cytoplasm, of course, the cytoplasm is present in the two of them. Then finally we have the vacuole. Vacuole is either absent or very, very small, but in eukaryotic cell it is very large in the plant cell and very small in the animal cell. All right, so that is the comparison of organelles you can find in the two cell types. All right, so I hope you're following me. Now let us look at their sizes and complexity. How complex are they? Prokaryotic cells are generally smaller and simpler. Now I showed you the image a while ago, how they look like. Prokaryotic cells are very, very small. Alright, while eukaryotic cells are larger and more complex. Okay, now look at the sizes on your screen. I told you this is the size of the prokaryotic cell from 0.1 to 5 micrometer. All right, in diameter, how wide they are. And for the eukaryotic cell, from 10 to 100 micrometer on how they are wide, how wide they are. So I hope you understand that. So you can see that the eukaryotic cell are way larger than the prokaryotic cell. Okay, let's continue. Let's look at examples of the prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Here are examples of this type of cell. Now the prokaryotic cell, we have the bacteria and the archaea. All right, this is an example of the bacteria. This is an image of a bacteria. Okay, all right, so any bacteria you see, example of a prokaryotic cell. Now let us look at example of eukaryotic cells. Animal cells, plant cells, fungi cells are made up of prokaryotic cell. Now if you look at this image, is a plant cell, okay, because of the chloroplast you can find in the image. So of course animal cells, they don't have chloroplast. So any image you see like this, a cell that has chloroplast, so the only way you can differentiate them and other organelles too is the possession of this chloroplast. Okay, we'll go into that in another video. Let us summarize. In summary, Prokaryotic cells, I told you that the nucleus is absent in prokaryotic cell and present in eukaryotic cell. Looking at their sizes, smaller is about 0.1 to 5 micrometer for the prokaryotic cell and 10 to 100 micrometer for the eukaryotic cell. Then for the complexity, how complex are they? I told you that the prokaryotic cell have a simpler structure than the eukaryotic cell, which is a little more complex. Then for the organelles, I said that no membrane bound organelles, okay, while in eukaryotic cells there are membrane bound organelles, and I told you the list of organelles you can find there. Then I gave you examples of prokaryotic cell, that's the bacteria and the archaea. Then finally, for examples of the eukaryotic cell, we have the plants, animal cells, fungi cells, and the protists. Okay, fun fact and conclusion. Did you know prokaryotic cells are believed to be the oldest form of life, existing around 3.5 billion years ago? Wow! Did you know that? Okay, now you know. Alright, look at the image once again. Try to refresh your memory. Prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells are foundational to all life. So living organisms are made up of cells, either prokaryotic cell or eukaryotic cells. So understanding their differences help us to appreciate cellular diversity. So it is important for you to understand their differences. All right, I have a question for you. Which type of cell do you think ever evolved first? Prokaryotic or eukaryotic? So drop your answer for me in the comment section. See you in the next class. Bye for now. If you like this video, why not subscribe for more videos? Like and share. Someone needs to see this video. Thank you.